Bonjour! Welcome to Joey's episode 6, where we are in Montreal. The vibes are getting real. We have 2 one-on-ones, an awkward group date, a rose ceremony, and here we are down to 6. Welcome to Reality TV Therapy with me, Dr. Diane. Welcome back. Before I get into this week's video, I want to do just a little bit of light housekeeping because the last week was a lot for me. I'm trying to pump out more YouTube content. I had 2 videos because we had episodes 4 and 5, and then Love is Blind started on Valentine's, but I only had a chance to go through the first 3 episodes. But if you're interested in Love is Blind, please check that out. I'm trying to focus on each person's attachment styles and then how the couples are together and what mixing that is. But I will get up my next video shortly, at least I hope to, because tomorrow, Wednesday, they're going to have more episodes. But please make sure to subscribe to my channel, leave a comment, and push notifications so you don't miss a single video. Because as I said, I'm also going to be dropping videos about other relationship topics. So this week we start with sad Joey. People were saying that he's a people pleaser. We're not getting to know very much of Joey, but right on the money, right on time. We see Joey start out this episode. He's raw. He's in the park, looking into the camera, talking about the pressure he feels to be perfect and to be this complex person with light and sad, and sometimes that's just not him. Now, other people were also worried about Joey's health and how he's holding up. I don't know if you've noticed, but if you look closely, the whites of Joey's eyes look a little bit yellow. Some people were saying that he has jaundice. Now, I also read that many medical people said it could be a gallbladder, liver, a pancreas health issue, but it could also be a benign condition called Gilbert's, and it could actually be nothing, but it does show up during stress, and let's face it, Joey is under stress. Now we start the group date with Jesse in his hometown of Montreal, speaking French, which is actually just exciting, and I'm really enjoying all Jesse's funny quirks because I don't know, at first I was actually really reticent because I really felt connected to Chris Harrison after all these years, but I think Jesse is really coming into his own, and I just love that. Playing tennis, now speaking French, just so fun. But in this first group date, we now find out that the 2 one-on-ones are going to be Kelsey T and Maria, and let's face it, the competition is heating up. They start out, they're doing a scavenger hunt, they're in the park, they're going to a store, they're eating poutine, which is interesting, French fries. I thought usually it's just French fries and gravy, but it's like pineapples and sriracha. Not such a great combination, but you can see all the women are actually feeling quite anxious, and can you blame them? Because it's sort of right in your face about the various connections. But Jenn is really shining here. She's trying to make light, make fun. And having said that, in the evening portion, the women come to Joey, and all of them are talking about how vulnerable they feel and how awkward it is, quite honestly. And it's got to be awkward for Joey too, right? At one point where they're all like ringing around him, and he's like, am I going to be executed in the middle? And it sort of feels like a cult. And I thought, again, this has got to be awkward for everyone, but this is the process they've signed up for. Kelsey A admits that it's difficult for her, that she's not normally an insecure person, but of course you're going to feel like you're in the background, especially when you come from a great one-on-one date. It's like feeling like you're going backwards. Lexi. Love that Lexi is really taking care of herself. I just have to say props to Lexi. She needs to find out from Joey, because this is so important for her, about timing. Okay, we found out that Lexi has endometriosis. We've also been told that she froze her eggs. I think that's on social media where I had read that. Good for her to take charge of her fertility. But that she really needs to know what's Joey's ideal time frame, and she just asks the question. So perfect.
There's something I was going to bring up that's just been like ruminating a little bit in my head, timing and what that looks like for you, because someone could be engaged for 5 years and then get married and have kids.
Joey's response is 2 to 3 year engagement. It's important that they're married before they have kids. So that's really 5 years, and she just won't have that luxury. So we're going to get to that later. But I just loved that Lexi is saying, I have this anxiety. I need to get my questions answered. Good job to Lexi. Okay, so now we have Jenn. She is just so sweet. Honestly, I really like Jenn. She is, again, more youthful, playful, little touches, little looks, and Joey really likes it. There is just a nice synergy between these two. But Joey, like, he matches the women when they say, you know, I'm scared. He says, well, I'm scared too. And I think that's just a lovely way, because let's face it, Joey is asking all the women to be vulnerable, and now we're seeing Joey get vulnerable too. Okay, next up is Jess. And, you know, she's talking to Daisy about, I need to get this off my chest, how I feel about him. And of course, Daisy says, go for it, right? But the point is that Jess and Joey haven't had a lot of time for a reason. There's just not a great connection there. And who could forget, at least we can't forget, we've seen some ugliness with all of that. But Joey, she then comes and says, you know, I'm falling for you. And Joey, without skipping a beat, just says, I can't get there. I think you're unbelievable. I think you deserve the world, but it's not right to keep you here. And that is the right thing to do. These are the tough choices, and he is making them. He walks Jess out. Jess is melting down at the car. Did I do something wrong? And Joey, with so much grace, says, no, this isn't about you. You didn't do anything. You deserve more. But now we see a little bit of a chink in the armor, right? Jess is crying and she is upset, and she says she feels really silly. So for me, sometimes it's the avoidant person who maybe didn't share enough would say, you know, I finally told them I loved them. I'll never do that again. But I don't think that's what she's really referring to. I think on some unconscious level, Jess feels bad because she was spending time in the negative, right? Talking about Maria with Sydney and with Leah. And so last week we saw this whole drama around, I can't believe you stole Joey, and that just wasn't a good look. So I'm hopeful that maybe Jess, with time, will have an opportunity to reflect. After all, she's very young. She's only 23, 24, but hopefully she can take some accountability for herself, because Joey did spare her the feedback. But it's always good to look at yourself to reflect, what can I learn? Okay, so the group date rose goes to Jenn, no doubt, because she is making him feel good. And I like that. Again, he's keeping it fresh. What about Kelsey T? This is the Cirque du Soleil one-on-one. If you ever get a chance to see Cirque du Soleil, I have to say it's probably one of the best entertaining circuses I've seen. This woman is also amazing. And poor Joey, he's getting dizzy. I also don't know if you've ever gotten dizzy, but yeah, I can, the cameras are kind of funny and they're showing this sort of blur, but yeah, of course the poor thing needs a Dramamine. And I can only imagine how tough that is. Let's get to the evening portion of the date with Kelsey T and talking about her father in particular and why she's had some trust issues. So I did my own digging on this, and I was trying to figure out what religion could it be that dissuades you from going to college. And sure enough, it turns out it's the Jehovah's Witnesses. Who would have known? The Jehovah's Witnesses, in some ways, the whole focus is on community and to get to something called Bethel. I don't know enough about this, but the point is that they're intimidated when higher education is considered a threat to that. So what did I think? Interesting enough, notice Kelsey, pay attention to her body language. It's almost like she's whispering it, because she knows at some point her parents will see this video, her dad in particular, and how will he feel about that? I'm hopeful that she was so respectful. She was trying to be so kind talking about this, but really like she had to save herself and step away from the religion and then live with her mother, that I hope some healing will come of this for Kelsey and her father. Like there's some goodness that can come out of the show when you think, my daughter is healthy and alive and wants a relationship with me, and it sounds like they're trying to repair it. So I'm hoping that comes out of it. So now let's get to Lexi. Back and forth now between all of this, we're seeing Lexi talking about she has to assess what did this conversation mean, and we'll get to that. Let's talk about the fun part. Maria's one-on-one, the pretty woman slash princess date slash shopping date. Perfect for this French-speaking woman. That's why I've got my beret on. But supposedly, interesting enough, fun fact, Claudette's, the shop, is like a 4-minute drive to the theater where they end up. But we know that it's more than that. So we know that it's about shopping, and it's about Joey picking out her dress, and it's about overseeing all of Montreal in this helicopter ride. But you can't deny the chemistry with these two in the car before they even get to the store. That Maria challenges Joey in so many ways that, she calls him Joey and then like slaps him, and he says, "This is hard," and she says, "I know." And there's a lot of sexual innuendos and playfulness, and I bet Joey, with all this seriousness, that she is just a breath of fresh air. It's no accident that she is still there, especially when the girls, Sydney, Leah, Jess, have all come to him and said, or maybe, I don't know if Jess said anything to him directly, but they've all put a target on her back. And we also know, though, that it's very hard for the lead to fully relax. So if you watch Joey's body language, again, a lot of fun bantering, so much chemistry, but I do wonder, is he holding back just a little bit? Is there something that he has to be wondering about? Okay, and not because I don't 100% think that Maria deserves love, that she deserves to not have had so much negativity. But let's focus on the couple, not what you or I think, because this isn't really a competition in terms of our votes. But I do think as a couple, there is a lot to be said, a lot of positivity. He says that she's an enigma. He can't quite figure her out, right? But she is flirty and fun, and you never know what she's going to do, right? When she says that, the women said that I was going to be on a plane, and she's like, "I would push you out." And he's like, "I bet you would." Again, there's a fun playfulness, and she's also very physical. I'm guessing Maria's love language is physicality, right? She leans into him, she snuggles every moment she gets. She's kind of peck kissing him. But another thing interesting about Maria, I don't know if you noticed, she touches her hair a lot. What does that mean? So it can mean one of two things or a combination. Remember Kat on Bachelor in Paradise? She would touch her hair a lot. I thought that was a sign of anxiety. Sometimes what we're doing is we're trying to self-soothe, and people will twirl their hair or touch their hair. It's like a tactile thing. But sometimes touching your hair, like on a date when you like someone, is something called preening. Preening is like, I'm trying to make myself more attractive to you because I like you. So both of these are unconscious things, either anxiety or preening, or as I said, it could most likely be a combination of those two things. But in the evening portion, we find out more about Maria, why she is the way that she is. Like Lexi, she was listening to all of this, that she too kind of is 29. She probably is getting a little bit nervous about that. She's had in the past someone she thought might be her fiance, and that didn't turn around. But you can't also deny how cute it is that Maria's trying to get Joey to say, "I love you," when he doesn't know what the words actually mean. Je t'aime. I actually found that quite adorable, whether you like Maria or not. Okay, finally now Lexi does go to Joey, and I prefer this conversation over Maria coming back with her packages and all the girls being jealous, which we've seen in the past. Remember in Zach's season, it was Gabby. She came back and it was a big thing. Interesting enough, Susie from Clayton's season said all of those bags are not always filled with designer things. Sometimes they give you a big bag filled with H&M and it's not even your size. Okay, that was a side note. Now we've got back to Lexi. Her heart is racing. She's reflecting upon that. Again, never a good thing. But she's not in the position, she doesn't have the privilege to have a long engagement. She says these words with such respect, no animosity, nothing but kindness between these two. Like, take a note. We rarely see a breakup that is heartfelt, but touching and direct and to the point. No blaming, no harm. It's, this is your truth, this is my truth, and unfortunately we're on different timelines. Joey is naturally stunned. At this point, every time the lead has somebody self-eliminate, it creates a little bit of fear. Oh my gosh, what if this means that everybody's going to self-eliminate? And he has to say, wait a minute, this is a unique circumstance. This is not all the other women. But how lovely. He says that
you're going to get everything that you want and you're going to make a remarkable mother.
And this doesn't change how I feel about you. How true is this, that you're dating someone, you care for them, you love them, but you just don't sync up in terms of lifestyle, and so it's not going to work. But I loved the sentiment. And also, let's face it, Joey didn't say, like, no, 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 Lexi, really stay, I'll get through it. He did talk about, we had a wonderful time and I wanted to see myself with you. But the facts are the facts, and I actually just appreciated how respectful this breakup was. And you recognize, of course, it's a two-way street. We both have to choose each other. So beautiful job. Okay, now we get to the rose ceremony. And of course, the women are worried. Joey is still vulnerable. He's taken like a down note. He's had some great connections, right? Some great dates, but it's getting serious because we're getting closer to the end. And as I've said before, no missed rose ceremonies, so respectful, and of course, the producers are asking him questions like, well, how do you feel about this? And Leah said,
There is more pressure this week, but pressure makes diamonds.
So Caitlin here, now we're in the cocktail rose ceremony part. And Caitlin, does say, Joey has been so affirming and so lovely to me. I haven't done it back. Maybe it's a little too late, obviously, but she does compliment him for his emotional intelligence, how he's made her feel. I've never met somebody like you. And we could just see that this interaction doesn't have a lot of passion, right? Which is different when we get to Daisy. Daisy reminds me a little bit more of Maria. They're different personalities, but the more playful part. She says, with a deadpan, this could be a real deal breaker, but then puts her feet on his lap and says, how are you with foot massages? And of course, now here's the sexual innuendos, I like it hard and once a day. And so I thought it was playful. I thought it was fun. I think it was just like chef's kiss for Daisy. Way to go. And at the rose ceremony, we have Jenn, Kelsey T, and Maria all already have roses, but you could see the look on Leah's face. And did you catch Maria's look where they take the cloth off the roses and there are only 3? Dun, dun, dun. Okay, so who gets those 3? And it's important in the order. Daisy, number 1, Kelsey, number 2, Rachel, number 3. And later we see a little bit of emotion from Rachel, right? She is taking this seriously. And it's so sweet that Kelsey says to her, oh girl, let your emotions out. These are all good. Like, I love those special moments. But Leah, of course, thinks she's got it kind of wrapped up and says like, come on, Joseph, make the right choice. I'm sorry, his name is Joey, not Joseph. Finally, we do see that poor Caitlin and Leah don't get a rose. They're going to need to say their goodbyes. But Caitlin, again, beautiful in her accent. She owns it. She takes responsibility. She says, not only have I not had enough time, but I'm kicking myself for not going deeper. Good personal awareness, accountability. Which brings me to Leah. Disappointing. What does she say? She says, I wasn't given the opportunity, and truly it's Joey's loss. Wish him the best and hope that his person is there. I would have loved to have seen more humility. I know, I get it. She's young, 23, 24. But unfortunately, if you watch Bachelor data, again, Leah is one of the people who is actually losing followers. And that only happens when you have a fall from grace. We had such high expectations of Leah. She came in, right, through the date card, in the fire, not wanting to create conflict. And yet all we've seen is conflict. And then we'll never see the answer to her question, do you have any regrets? Because they cut that out. Okay, what about next week? Next week, we're going to be in Jasper. It looks like we're going to have more one-on-one dates, which is great. I love that all 6 women have already had a one-on-one. So there's no randomness because you don't go to hometowns unless you've had a one-on-one. But now we're going to have duplicates. We're going to have second one-on-ones, and I think that's going to be fascinating. And maybe it was a group date in the polar plunge, but there is certainly more to come. What are the lessons we can learn from this episode? Focus on yourself, your love story, but be like Lexi. Take responsibility. I'm going to follow up on this week's video on situationships, and I call it like owning your own power. This is my journey too. I have a say. And so both people have to assess if you are a fit for one another, because that's the only way to know. And then, can I face it? I'm still bummed. I would love to see more bloopers. I just would. At the end, they were always like my favorite part. Please, ABC, bring back the bloopers. But that's it for today's episode. And I will see you next time. Should I say je t'aime to you all?